Hey everybody, welcome back to MinMaxGames. We've seen a lot of videos pop up lately about the state of Flesh and Blood, the market, what's going on with both singles and sealed, and we decided maybe it's time that we take a look at it from a store perspective. So let's get into it. Alpha Investments recently put out a video talking about the state of the market. He kind of went through different things on sealed product and singles and his take on where Flesh and Blood currently sits. So we thought it'd be a great idea to kind of pull back the curtains of what it looks like from an LGS perspective, especially an LGS like us who dabbles very heavily in Flesh and Blood. So when we are looking at market concepts, there's normally three main things that we're looking for. We're looking at sealed sales. We sell a ton of boxes, so we're looking at the quantity of boxes sold. We're looking at which boxes are selling. Are they buying them in cases, packs, or individual boxes? The second aspect of the overall Flesh and Blood market that we keep an eye on is singles pricing. What are we selling? What is fast moving? What is not moving? What sets do people care about today? And maybe even more importantly, what sets nobody wants to see? And then the last, probably most important aspect of the market is we take a look at the volume of Dusk Blades we have on hand at any given time. So now that we've gotten into that, we can talk a little bit about sealed product. So honestly, overall, sealed is doing very well. It's usual that we see a massive peak right around release, and then it slowly peters out until a point where people are sick of opening boxes or there's not enough value in the boxes, so they stop. But it's kind of crazy. We're still seeing strong sales of Rosetta weeks after release. We've even had announcements of the Hunted coming out, and we're still selling Rosetta pretty effectively. I would say it's a well-selling product weeks after. One of the really interesting things, though, about the sealed side is the quantity of older boxes that we're selling. And I'm not talking about like the first few sets. We're not talking about Welcome to Wraith, Arcane, Monarch, even Tales. I'm talking about like outsiders. We're talking about Mistveil and heavy hitters that we are selling boxes, and that's not a normal thing. It's very uncommon for Flesh and Blood. I think partially because of the player base and partially because of the game style that we see a lot of people going backwards to purchasing sealed product. Now, we'll get into this on the single side, but part of the reason for that is cards are valuable. The average value of a Majestic has universally gone up. And there's a few reasons for that. One of those reasons, I think, is the player base. When we talk about sealed sales, one of the other metrics we use when we're talking about that is who is buying these products. So we obviously have a network of customers that come to us for events and singles and sealed product. What's crazy is the number of brand new customers that have never shopped with us before, that are choosing to purchase Flesh and Blood products. And maybe it's because they, are moving from a different store or they're tired of TCG Player. But I would assume a decent chunk of those new customers are new players. So we're seeing, in my opinion, an influx of new players interested in our game. And that means that they want to buy product. They need the cards. They want to experience what many of us got to experience over the past few years. Another sign of growth that we've seen that kind of fits into the sealed product is that we also produce play sets. So when we open up, we do a mass box opening of Rosetta or really any set, we also create play sets, common and rare play sets. So we'll normally make a decent amount, we'll sell through them, and then we'll open another few hundred boxes and we'll create legacy play sets that we just have on hand for future generations that want to pick up the game. We are almost completely sold out of all of our play sets from all different sets. Now, most of us that have been playing this game for a few years we don't have need for a Monarch Unlimited playset or a Bright Lights playset of commons and rares because we've cracked so many boxes, we've drafted so much that we have the cards. So those sales are almost 100% generated towards brand new customers. And that's an amazing thing to see because as new customers come into the game, they take up a huge aspect of the purchasing side. They're going to crack more boxes. They're going to need more cards. They're going to be introduced to things that we've seen forever. But it makes the economy of Flesh and Blood grow. We've also seen a large influx of people leaving Magic the Gathering for Flesh and Blood specifically because of their new Universes Beyond stance on cards being played. I don't believe that's going to hurt Magic. Some people will say that, oh yeah, everyone's leaving Magic. They're going to different games because of this. The Universes Beyond world for Magic is going to be a net massive gain for them. They're going to lose customers because some people don't want to experience the game in that way. But overall, I don't think it's one of those doom and gloom things for Magic. I think overall they're going to do just fine. But for us as a more indie game, for a game that's alternative to Magic, it is a great opportunity to pick up brand new customers, people who may have not looked at the game before and want to get back into something that's a little bit more competitive on this scale. So overall on the sealed side, it's great. Product is moving, pre-sales are great. The quantity of boxes that are still available from distributors is fine. Flesh and Blood has really knocked it out of the park lately. And I think what we'll see with Hunted is that's going to get better. The sealed side is going to become even more profitable, not only from an LGS standpoint, but also from a customer perspective, because I truthfully believe that the Hunted is going to contain an even higher EV or expected value than previous sets we've seen. So now we've talked a bit about the sealed side, let's move over and talk about singles. Many of you know we have our own single site, MinMaxGamesFAB.com, where we have hundreds of thousands of Flesh and Blood cards. It's just Flesh and Blood. We carry just about everything that's not out of stock because you guys buy so much of it. But the single side has been flowing. I would say year after year, the singles orders have been increasing, the value, the volume, the number of new customers entering the game, the amount of decks that are being purchased. Singles are doing well. And we've seen some really interesting things with products like, for instance, Outsiders, right? So when the Codex of Frailty is almost pushing $80, around $80, the insanity gets to a place where people start thinking, well, do I want to buy a Codex or do I want to buy a booster box and pull a Codex and maybe pull something else? So we're seeing this unique spot where some of these older sets, their EV is just increasing hand over hand to the point where it almost makes more sense from a customer perspective to take that gamble and crack boxes. Now, I would still advise that everyone at home purchase singles and not sealed product to pull their cards. But you know, some people just want to crack packs. We just want to have that experience. So, you know, it is what it is. The thing is, at the end of the day, Flesh and Blood is a player's game. We need the cards to play the game, and most of us, although some of us are collectors, investors, whatever you want to call it, most people who engage with the Flesh and Blood product are players, which means that we need cards. We need singles. We don't want them. We need them to play the game. So we're seeing a kind of a slow growth, I would say, over the broad stretch of singles in general in a positive way. If we look at cards like Twin Drive and E-Strike and, as we said, Codex of Frailty, you'll see that over the past 3 to 6 months, we've seen steady growth. These are all playable cards that were, you know, these sets weren't short printed. It's not like there are not enough Outsiders boxes out there. It's not that people haven't opened up cases after cases of this product. You know, we've opened thousands of boxes of these sets at this point, but the demand is greater. And that's partially because we're getting new customers. We're getting new players into this game. And the overall price point, I believe, is actually going down. If we look at it, your average cost for a Legendary or a Fabled has drastically gone down to where it was the same time 2 years ago. Some of these cards have a 50% price drop. On the other hand, a lot of Majestics are now seeing slowly creeping up in price. We're seeing cards that, a place that used to be $20, now it's $30, $40, $50. In fact, I recently saw a poll someone put online of, what do you consider to be an expensive card? And I think the general majority was that if it's a one of, if it's over $100, that's expensive. If it's a three of, over $30 is expensive. And if we look at most of the top 10 decks in any given format, you're looking at a lot more of those $30 and $50 cards than you were before. Another thing that's kind of driving sales of some of these older cards, even cards from Monarch or Tales or Dynasty, is that Living Legend is a viable, thriving format, and it's growing. We're going to have our calling at the end of December or middle of December. Registration's still available, so make sure you get your tickets ahead of time. But there's even a Battle Hardened this weekend, I believe, or next weekend, that's hosting Living Legends. So that format is bringing juice into these old sets and breathing new life into cards that didn't have a home before. And so as collectors, as investors, as people who like to look at shiny, Duskblades, there's value in holding on to these cards. In fact, we've seen, unfortunately, a decrease in buy lists. Customers are less likely today, I think, than ever to sell cards because it makes sense to hold on to them, because a lot of them do hold on to value. Now, if you do have cards and you do want to get rid of them and turn them into other cards or store credit or cash, we do have an active buy list on our website, MinMaxGamesFAB.com. We pay out pretty well, probably better than anyone else in the industry. So give that a look, give that a taste, and we're always buying Duskblades. So we could always use more of them, drive up that economic volume of what we have in stock. Another thing that I think is very interesting that we're going to be embarking that's new on a level that we haven't seen before is with the Hunted. I wrote an article about this recently, that the MSRP of the product is increasing. So I think the average cost per box is like $10-ish more, which means your cost to open up that box, to crack that box for fun, increases. You're talking about $40+ per case. For a lot of us that are just recreational players and do this for fun, that's a massive increase to the cost of our hobby. Now you can offset that by buying singles. Instead of taking the gamble, let us take that gamble for you, because we'll be cracking thousands of these boxes in this next set. It's just going to be so cool. I'm super excited for the Hunted. But what it's also going to do is it's going to drive up the average value of those cards. So we're moving into a place where the average cost of a card for newer Flesh and Blood sets increases, which makes, in retrospect, older sets a little bit more appetizing to open. So when you're looking at buying a $100 the Hunted box, or you're looking at a map price for Bright Lights, and you're thinking, well, maybe I'll pull some Twin Drives, or maybe I'll go back to Outsiders and pull a Codex, we might see another renaissance of older boxes being opened, just because the alternative is more expensive. Now, I do believe that the Hunted is going to have some of the most expensive cards that we've ever seen. This is my own personal belief, just based on the number of Marvels, the game style, and that MSRP increase, that we're going to see LSS take an active role in protecting the value of the game. We've gone through the Monarch phase of boxes being literally worthless. We've seen sets now like Heavy Hitters and Rosetta and Part the Mistveil that have tons of value, that they seem to be holding their own, and might even be legacy boxes. The ability to pull your Rosetta Thorn, the Mystic Cold Foil Chi cards, these are all things that could see a very long life, making them collectibles and making it worthy to keep a case of Mistveil on your shelf for a rainy day once it goes out of print and stuff like that. So overall, the singles market is great. Like I said, Majestics are going up. So the value of a Majestic is just going to, I think, continue to increase as more and more people play this game on a competitive level. We have seen legendaries as a whole go down. And that's a great thing, I think, because if you have been on any forum, on any social media, or any conversation with anyone, one of the main questions or issues people have with TCGs is, what does it cost to play the game? So when your staple cards like Tunic are no longer $300, but $120, $150, and you can buy equipment pieces where your entire set of equipment is under $300 and you can use it for 4 different heroes, it really helps to bring down the acquisition cost for a new customer, a new player, and a lifetime gamer. So I think LSS is doing great there. So Sealed is doing well. Singles are doing well. We could use more Duskblades, though. So please send those to us. That's kind of the whole reason we have a company. That's the fun part of all of this. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about single sales, about buy lists, about sealed product, anything behind the scenes that we could provide information on to help make your decisions maybe more informed, or if you just have a question, you just want to ask it, we've got comments below. Hopefully we'll see you soon, and we'll see you in Chicago for the first Living Legend calling this December. Thanks, take care.